What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Coaches Podcast. I am your host, as always, Coach Steve. On today's episode, guys, of course, it's a Monday, so we're talking some waiver wire pickups. Week 11 is just about behind us now, and we got to start focusing on Week 12. So, as always, let me introduce my co-host, Coach Jibs. What's going on, Jibs?
I could be doing better if this waiver wire was looking a little bit nice. This is like you going to get some Thanksgiving meal preps or just getting your shopping in like on a Monday and there's nothing on the shelves. Like
Yeah,
completely covered.
that is
Yeah.
100% right. That is 100% right. Yeah, it is not looking that great for the waiver wire. It might be one of the worst waiver wires of the season, to be honest. Out there.
I think they keep getting worse.
They do, and it's going to continue to get worse. So there's some things to talk about. Of course, there's some news. We're going to go over the waiver wires, and of course, we're going to do some kind of like trade feels at the end of some players that might have the last chance to either buy or sell them off if you can. So I'm going to start with the bye weeks because I forgot the bye weeks last week. Week 12 bye weeks are the Arizona Cardinals and Kansas City Chiefs. Only two, but there are some big hitters, obviously, of course, in that mix. So news-wise, guys, there's some injuries. Justin Fields, rookie quarterback, Chicago Bears, rib injury, not as serious as it looked, but I think that he is definitely somewhat of a day-to-day situation. It may be more of a week-to-week. He might miss this week. It's a possibility. Michael Carter, big news. I know I'm a big fan of Michael Carter's game. He's out 2 to 4 weeks now with an injury, and yeah, it's very unfortunate. But he's definitely has some replacement guys we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, definitely a big blow for that. Jarvis Landry left the game with a knee injury. A.J. Brown left with a hand injury, came back, then left with a knee injury or chest injury. I believe the reports were that they were negative, but they're doing further testing on that, possible maybe broken rib or something. So we'll hear more probably about that within the next day or two, and that will probably kill the Tennessee Titans even more than what they are. Jamal Agnew, one of my favorite players this year in fantasy, IR out for the season with a hip injury. CeeDee Lamb left the game this past Sunday with a concussion and is questionable for this week's matchup, but they do play Thursday night on Thanksgiving. Jordan Howard, your boy, left with a knee injury, already ruled out week 12, but was running well, Jibs. He was running well.
He was, and they're all running well. I think when you're running 200 yards per game, like everyone could get a nice little chunk of that.
Absolutely. Hat's killing me now. Let's see here. Where else am I on my news here? Some extensions hit. Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton. Surprise on both. Both signed new extensions. 3 years, 30 mil. 4 years, 61 mil.
What are they doing down there, man?
Yeah.
No quarterback, but we signed everyone to some contracts real quick.
Are they players in, say, like Dynasty right now you buy into because of the extensions? Do you like buying players that sign extensions?
Mm.
That change your viewpoint on them?
It changes my viewpoint on them if they're like middling talents, but like the superstar talent, like people, like when they get a contract re-up, like obviously you feel like, hey, like say like Calvin really got a 3-year extension, and you're just like, all right, I definitely think I can have him on my team for like the long window. But for Dynasty, it's just weird. But I think you could have a little bit more confidence in say like a guy like Patrick. I thought Sutton would obviously like leaving free agency though.
Yeah, no, I kind of figured the same thing, especially with Judy there. I think you could be. I think it's smart to buy into like players like a guy like Tim Patrick. I mean, they sign these guys. There's a reason they sign him, and I think these Bronco players are good buys. I think Judy is might be too far high for a lot of people, but if you can still buy into guys like Sutton and Tim Patrick, I mean, the quarterback situation is likely to change next year. I mean, Teddy's been solid, but that's not going to win them a championship. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, maybe Russell Wilson, possible targets next year. So if you can buy into them now like the Broncos are, you might be pretty happy. I know Jibs is definitely happy seeing Dallas Goedert sign another 4-year deal, 57 mil. How do you feel about that, Jibs?
Oh, I feel ecstatic, man. And I was a guy kind of just like tempering like my expectations on the situation. And when like Zach Ertz resigned, and I was trying to get Goddard on the low last year because you kind of figured like eventually the curtain will like rise and he'll be here long term. His his old veteran will be gone. So kudos to Goddard, and he's showing on the field.
Yeah, no, definitely a good extension guy right there. Definitely worth the money. He's going to be around for that 4 years, so it's a great play for him.
Better.
And then this absurd contract, I believe, that hit today. Taysom Hill signed a hybrid contract, another $95 million contract. I don't understand why this man is seeing such a big payday, but I feel like Sean Payton is just like, I feel bad for this man. I want to give him so much money to do nothing, and that's literally what he does.
Hey, whatever it comes down to, I'm sure his like accountant's pretty like out of whack trying to like get that contract like on his books tax wise.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think it's like as low as $38 million. This could be as high as 96, obviously, depending on the position that he plays, I think the most in some sorts of that nature. So, yeah, definitely really interesting. I'd love to see him actually play starting quarterback, or is he really that just much of a hybrid player? Or maybe he's just a coach. I don't really know. But yeah, really weird. And then as of today, I was trying to get my waiver wire show ready for today, and I thought Adam Trotman was a great play. And then like 20 minutes ago, Adam Trotman is out 4 to 6 weeks with a sprained MCL. So that's
Oh.
yes. You didn't hear about that?
No, I saw that he was missing practice, but I didn't think. Obviously, with a short week, I'll figure like you still could add him, but I didn't hear about the 4 to 6 week news.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was hurt, to be honest. I didn't even see anything on that. And yeah, he's out 4 to 6 weeks with a sprained MCL, which sucks because he was kind of on upward trend there for the tight end situation. But nevertheless, that's all it is, though, guys. So that's the news for the most part, guys. Again, some cool things out there. We have Thursday Night Football this week. It's Thanksgiving week. We have 3 games on. It's a lot of fun. But we need to get you guys some waiver wire pickups. Someone to help fill your lineups up with this tough week here. And of course, we're going to always start with our quarterback position because obviously that's probably the best of the bunch, I'd say, this week. Maybe not even. Honestly, I don't even like the quarterback situation that much. But obviously, if some other guys that are out there that you wouldn't expect to be out there, we don't name, likely you should probably pick those guys up over the guys we are probably going to mention for the most part. Like guys like Cam, guys like Tua, guys like Kirk Cousins. Those are probably better options all than going for the guys we're about to mention here. So, Jibs, who is your number one pickup this week at Kubi?
I went to the bottom of the barrel on this one, and I'm a Kyler Murray manager, and I've been streaming for weeks upon weeks, and I think I found the perfect antidote for his bye week, and hopefully he'll be back next week. But Tyrod Taylor, he's going against the Jets, and we know Tyrod Taylor will give you some kind of rushing floor, and the matchup's good too. Like the Jets allow the 15th most points to quarterbacks, and I think that's kind of just weighted on some of their performances in the beginning of the year because the last 5 quarterbacks that faced the Jets all scored 21 fantasy points. So, and they all thrown at least 2 touchdown passes, and we know the Texans can't run the ball. They had so many opportunities yesterday, and it was like measly, like 1 point, less than 2 yards per carry. So I think Tyrod could get some utilization in the red zone, and we've seen it 2 times this year, like in week 2, and then obviously last week he scored 2 rushing touchdowns. So I like Tyrod Taylor in this spot. I think it's a perfect opportunity for him,
You
and
know
we
what,
won't be
Jibs?
scared about his little his points last week either in that rain.
I honestly, he was one of my guys I thought of. Thankfully, I went with 2 just in case you decided to go with Tyrod. I like Tyrod as a streaming option this week. The Jets. I mean, that's how bad the Jets are. They've, like you mentioned already. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. So I'll go over to mine. And my other guy option was Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G, this week for the 49ers. And the last 4 games now, the last 5 games actually, Jimmy G has scored at least 2 touchdowns, whether it's 1 pass, 1 rushing, 2 touchdown rushing, 2 passing, whatever it may be. He's done it at least 2 touchdowns over the last 5 weeks now, and he's been a QB1 and 2 of 4 now at this point. And they do play a really good matchup this week. I'm trying to remember who it was offhand. The Minnesota Vikings. And the way the Vikings offense is, it's a back and forth battle. And you saw that with the Green Bay Packers this past week here. And it could be this kind of matchup for the 49ers and Minnesota where it's kind of a shootout. It's a lot of throwing. Minnesota is pretty decent against the run for the most part. And Jimmy G has been solid, honestly. And the weapons around him have been making plays for him to make him look better than what he really is personally. And I think that continues. Brandon Ayuk is playing at an all-pro level again. George Kittle there is just a dominant force. And then Deebo Samuels is literally just carrying the entire team on his back with even little just dunk-off passes, and yet still somehow goes for 80 yards on one little play. Those are kind of what you want in your quarterback situation. Players around him will make him better. And Jimmy G has a ton of great players around him. He'll have probably Elijah Mitchell this week, so it'll help kind of lean off the pass as much, and the team will have to focus on the run game, which will help open the play action and everything like that, which, Jimmy G's been pretty solid in for the most part this season. And if you're looking for a quarterback replacement, Jimmy G's been solid. So he's kind of the guy I'm looking towards picking up if I need a guy. A couple others, Mac Jones against the Titans. It's a decent matchup, but I don't know if I trust Mac Jones to that extent. But he's an option. I mean, the matchup's favorable. Trevor Siemian really hasn't been good for the Saints football team, and obviously Taysom Hill signing $96 million is the reason now to kind of be concerned about Trevor Siemian. But he has produced fantasy numbers since becoming the starting quarterback for this team. Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, they play the Detroit Lions this week. I don't know who's going to start yet. We probably won't find that until midweek. But either one of them could be worthy of a pickup because obviously the Lions, their defense is okay, but they can be beat, that's for sure. So, and then New York Jets quarterback, whoever that may be, it's maybe Joe Flacco again. Maybe Zach Wilson gets the nod finally. They play the Houston Texans, so that's a very favorable matchup for the quarterback situation here. Hey, Kyle, buddy, what is up, my friend? And then, obviously, last but not least, Trevor Lawrence. What'd you say?
Oh, I was saying, what up, Kyle?
What up, Kyle? What up, Kyle? And then Trevor Lawrence. He hasn't really been good the last month and a half now of the season, but he does have a matchup with Atlanta, a favorable matchup. Mac Jones did decent against them, not great, but decent. So that's just another way to go. So, yeah, there's really not a lot of good quarterbacks I'm really looking to go get, but it is what it is. So, Jibs, over to the RBs now. Who do you have as your number one RB pickup this week? And it sucks.
It sucks, but I'll definitely consider the Jets options. Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman, preferably. It depends on your league settings, of course. Ty Johnson could be a factor in PPR leagues, but I'm just more of the in the mindset that Tevin Coleman is the most suited player to take over that Michael Carter rushing load or rushing share. Ty Johnson, I know he's perfect at catching the ball, but I don't think he's as durable to handle such a, I wouldn't say strenuous load, but I don't think he's a guy who could get 10 to 12 rushing attempts a game. Tevin Coleman is a guy like that, but yeah, he's not as explosive as Ty Johnson. So you're kind of splitting hairs there, but still they're going against the Houston Texans, who are a bad football team, and they allow the 10th most points to running backs. They have allowed a running back to score in the six consecutive games prior to the Tennessee Titans game. I don't know what the hell happened there, but I'm still going to go with those facts over a bad Tennessee Titans performance. And I think Tevin Coleman probably has the best chance to score in the game, because the Texans, they do give up some receiving yards, but it's not that much. So I'd rather prefer Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, no, and we were talking about this prior to the show, that we were both talking about who we had, and I was I actually had Tevin Coleman too as one of my top pickups, but I'll just mention him. You're right. I think their philosophy is with Joe, and again, I think this might change if Zach Wilson is quarterback. I think Ty Johnson becomes more valuable in PPR leagues as that guy, because he will see that receiving ability. But Joe Flacco, we already saw Joe Flacco is not throwing to his running backs; he's throwing deep, and guys like Corey Davis, Crowder, and Elijah Moore all benefited this past week from a negative grain script. I don't know what's going to happen with this Jets team against Houston. I don't know if it's going to be a team where I don't know who's going to win it. Honestly, it's a toss-up to me, honestly. But Ty Johnson is a better PPR guy. But if they're not throwing to the running backs, how much of his value is really there? And I think, like you said, Jibs, Tevin Coleman will see that dirty work on the ground and possibly maybe scoop in for a touchdown in a favorable matchup. So I think Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson are both worthy pickups. But again, it's the Jets, so it's not something I'm thrilled to get, but I think they're both overall the top two pickups you want to go get this week in fantasy overall. So we kind of leave that. We'll kind of have you package that together, Jib. I think they're both pretty much good. The one thing to note is that Coleman has outrushed Tyler Johnson. I think if I have it here, 13-8 over the last two games since they've been back now. So that is something is interesting for Coleman's stake at least. So for my real number one pickup, and I guess it's the Jets guy, but I'll mention someone else here. Dontrell Hilliard, the Tennessee Titans. He came basically out of nowhere this past week in fantasy football. I think everyone was excited for the Deontay Foreman and AP show, but It was stolen away pretty quickly by Jontrell Hillard. I'm sorry, Hillard, not Hillman. Hillard. Jontrell Hillard. Apologize for that, but he had 10 targets in this game here. And again, I think most of it could have been that Jeremy McNichols was out of this game here. He was injured with a concussion, if I'm not mistaken. So he may not be back in time. He may be back this coming week here. So if anything, Jeremy McNichols might be a guy you might want to go pick up, especially with all the injuries. But if he happens to be out again, Hillard obviously seems to have a role in this passing game. If McNichols is out, and with all the wide receiver injuries right now at the wide receiver position, Tennessee needs as many pass catchers as they can. So I guess there's another combo for me too. It's Jeremy McNichols, obviously, if he plays as the number one pickup, and if obviously he doesn't play again, Dontre Hillard is the next guy. But again, it's tough to say. Again, this is another situation where we just don't know what's going to happen with either the quarterback situation or injuries for these top four guys right now that we're talking about.
I don't mind it at all.
Again, like I said, this was a bad running back week in general sense. Is not good. But Jibs, you have another guy we want to mention for the RBs?
Yeah, and if you're looking for fantasy points, I definitely wouldn't start this guy. But if you're looking for opportunity, I think Kawhi Allerson could be someone you could look into at least. Like Mike Davis is still there, but he's a middling player at this point. He's basically capped out at 9 rushing attempts since the bye week, and that's pretty much all his touches. Like I don't even see this guy maintaining such a role in the offense. Like he had 3 rush attempts last week. We saw Quadri Allison had 9 for 30-something yards. It's better than Mike Davis. We know they still have Cordell Patterson waiting to come back with the injury of his ankle, but still, for someone who had been someone's going to take that Mike Davis role, and I think Quadri Allison's that guy. So they're going to have a role reversal, but still just look into the situation. You don't even know if Cordell Patterson might be even having more of a lingering injury than we know.
Right. No, definitely. Again, he was a favorite of mine going into the season right before he got cut, surprisingly. Maybe he sees a bigger workload. Again, no Cordell Patterson. Was that the effect of why Olsen got a big bump in play? Who knows? But yeah, it's definitely an interesting option overall for sure. My second one here, it's really not good. Again, if Sony Michel's out there, he's under 30% owned, so I'm probably going to stay with Sony Michel. Is definitely a guy I would consider. I wouldn't. Thing is that with Sony Michel, it's not always where I'll have a good flex floor like some of these other high-end backups, but obviously if something happens to Earl Henderson, then Sony would obviously hit a bigger workload overall. And maybe coming out of this bye week here, they try to find a way to get him more involved and lean off of Henderson to seeing such a big workload to kind of keep him fresh where they make their playoff run. So, Sony Michel probably my number 2 pickup. He's not someone you can rely on a week-to-week basis, but has high upside overall on fantasy week or fantasy season long. So, Sony Michel's my number 2 guy on the board, guys. So, all right, Jibs, let's see. What else do I have here? Rex Burkhead, David Johnson. I mean, they play the Jets this coming week here. Again, it's not great, but if you're looking for something to help you out, Latavius Murray, but he's seeing the backup work now to Devontae Freeman looks much better in this offense right now. Seattle running backs. That's what I wrote on my list here. Seattle running backs. I think Alex Collins probably over the 40% mark, but maybe DJ Dallas. He did see 36. He tied Alex Collins for the most snaps among running backs this past week and had a touchdown on 4 carries. Again, probably was in garbage time, but maybe they try to find a way to get a spark from somebody in this offense here. Tony Jones just got reactivated off the IR. Again, Mark Ingram is ahead of him for the Saints, but if Kamara is to miss more time, then at that point, Tony Jones could maybe have a role. He was kind of like a preseason preseason hype man during the preseason. See, Kyle said, I need Daniel Jones to get 36 fantasy points tonight, and I win 2 leagues. Well, I hope you get it, man.
First passing touchdown.
I hope you, man. I hope you get it. I don't need it, but I hope you get it, brother. I hope you do. And then what else? Benny Snell and Kalen Ballage. If you didn't notice that Najee Harris got a little banged up last night, and I think he's fine probably. But again, he seems to be getting a little banged up recently. So if you want to go get those guys now, I really believe, Benny Snell seems like the backup, but I really believe Kalen Ballage will take the the workload if something happens to like Najee Harris. That's kind of how I see it. But both the pickups is at this point in the season, have your backups handcuffed if you can still. Whatever you can, handcuff your backups because we're still 6 weeks left of the season, 7 weeks. It might be a really long season if we lose another running back this year, which we already have. You're very welcome, Kyle. All right, Jib. So over to the wide receivers, my friend. What you got for us?
I like Traquan Smith, and I think I finally decided who I would recommend as the Saints wide receiver, and it'll be him. He had 5 catches for 64 yards against my beloved Eagles last week. And from my perspective, he should be a usable fantasy piece over the last 2 weeks. He had at least a 20% target share in that Saints offense, and we know that Saints offense to be pretty like wildly inconsistent. But for him to kind of have a consistent role in the offense kind of shows me something. And a fun fact: Traquan Smith started his NFL campaign this year in Week 7, and he has 7 red zone targets since that game, since Week 7, and that's as many as Marquez Callaway, who's pretty much played the whole season, and he's only 2 behind Adam Troutman, who's now out. So if you're thinking like that red zone guy, obviously Kamara's been used as well, but he's lingering as well with the injury. So for a red zone opportunity, I think he's the guy for the Saints right now. So that's why I like Traquan Smith.
I like that. He was one of my guys I considered as well this coming week, so I like that a lot. For me, guys, my number 1 this week is Kendrick Bourne for the New England Patriots. Yeah, he has been fantastic over the last month of the season here. Now, he isn't a traditional wide receiver, but he's playing like what Deebo Samuels is doing, is kind of getting work every which way in this offense here, and he's been solid for the last couple months now. I mean, in the last 3 of the last 6 games, he's had at least 14 fantasy points. They move him around on this offense a whole bunch, and they play the Tennessee Titans, who one of the worst teams against wide receivers this week. And if you're looking for a guy to throw in your flex as a high upside play, I think Kendrick Bourne could do that for you in fantasy this week. So he's definitely someone I'm targeting as a nice flex option if you're looking for a bye week replacement for sure, or an injury replacement, whatever it may be. So he's my number 1 pickup this week for the wide receiver cores.
You can't be mad at that. Been a fan favorite of mine this year.
So what do you got for us, number 2, Jibs?
Well, I know he's not as spectacular as his flashy young counterpart but I'm liking Jamison Crowder, and we've seen he hasn't made that many splash plays this year, but I know last year in 2020 when the Jets had Joe Flacco, there was a stretch when he was just leaning on Jamison Crowder. So I think they have a nice little chemistry build. Is more relevant than him and Corey Davis connection. I obviously love Elijah Moore, and I love what he's been doing for the Jets offense too. But for a steadily guy, you can't really go wrong with Jamison Crowder in the matchup against the Texans, I think.
Oh, are you losing you there, Jibs?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. It sounded like you stopped in transaction, but no.
I think because you just never know with a Jets player.
You're right, exactly, and I think if Joe Flacco continues at quarterback, you could be pretty confident in a guy like Jamison Crowder to get you a decent floor of 8 or 9 points on any kind of given week here. So I don't hate that whatsoever. My number 2 is DeAndre Carter from the Washington football team.
I should have stolen him.
And yeah, he's had 3 touchdowns in 3 straight games now. And yes, I didn't mention this in the news, but Logan Thomas is coming back. But the Washington football team does play Seattle, and they have been very lenient to wide receivers this season. You saw the Cardinals this past week here. I mean, AJ Green had a good game. Rondé Moore had a decent game. There was productivity coming from the wide receiver position to face the Seattle Seahawks, and Carter seems to be the number 2 right now in this offense, and he could be a sneaky, very risky, high upside play for a flex option this week. Again, I'm not saying go out and you got to get this guy, but if you're looking for upside, he could present that because he's seeing this work, especially in the red zone. So for me, Carter would be my number 2 pickup for you this week. All right, Jibs. Let's see what else we have here. Some other guys to mention, guys. Russell Gage, continues to kind of up and down season as the number 1 wide receiver. Amon St. Brown and Josh Reynolds kind of leading the way for the Lions, but again, not something I want to trust. If Laviska Shenault's out there, he's just over that 40% mark. He hasn't been
Ooh,
good much this
yeah.
season, but losing Jamal Agnew definitely hurts, and that could give him an opportunity. Let's see, Brown Edwards, he has yet to kind of pop off since, losing Henry Ruggs, but again, the upside could still be there. Marquise Godwin, a Goodwin, he could be an option. He had 100 yards this past week here. If Allen Robinson, God, if Allen Robinson is continuing to miss some more games, any Tennessee wide receiver, I'm not really thrilled about any of them, but they're all available, and any one of them, honestly, it seems like a rotation each and every single week. Who's going to be the number one wide receiver in this offense here? Let's see, Rondale Moore. It does take a big target workload, but again, he's on a bye week. But maybe long term, you want to go after him again. Cedric Wilson could see a really big bump in targets this week if CeeDee Lamb were to miss. They play Thursday, so he might have a big opportunity. And they play I think they play the Saints. Who does Dallas play this week? Let me see if I can find that out real quick. I can't.
Raiders.
Definitely the Raiders. And it's not the best matchup, but Dallas likes to throw the ball, so they need that. And yeah, that's really it, guys. Again, the wide receiver, there's not a clear cut, like strong wide receiver two I'd pick up. There's at best low end wide receiver threes and a lot of fours and fives. So that's kind of it for the wide receiver position. And we'll head over to the tight ends, Jibs. What's your number one tight end pickup this week?
It was Adam Troutman until you told me that news. So
So
I'm gonna do a strong pivot to Evan Ingram, and it's not that his matchup's any good next week. Oh, actually, it's great. He goes against the Eagles. Jesus Christ, yes. Evan Ingram, sign him up. He scored touchdown in 2 straight games. Eagles give allowed the most points to tight ends this year, and I'm not confident in my team's ability to stop him, but hopefully they do. So Eagles, sign me up. I
okay.
mean, Evan Ingram, sign me up.
Evan Ingram signing up. All right, I like it. I like it. Man, that was one of my fallback plans for sure. Especially if he has a good game tonight, he's gonna be a big pickup.
It's strong
Um,
first.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. For me, I guess I'll go Cole Kmet. Just that he's young and he's still growing in this offense here. If Andy Dalton is the quarterback, maybe for a game or two, it's Detroit and Arizona. Definitely some decent matchups for him overall, especially if Allen Robinson is also continuing to miss time here. There's more targets going his way. He's been playing pretty decent as of late. Again, nothing like star spangled, but borderline RB1 at certain weeks. So again, this is a good matchup for him for sure. So if you're looking for a tight end to play and hope for the best, it's got to be Cole Kmet for me heading into week 12. And then a couple other guys, CJ Uzama, just is a reliable, decent tight end. Tyler Conklin is slowly getting past the 40 mark. He's at 39% overall, so he is available, but he won't be much talked about soon enough. Austin Hooper, David Njoku. I mean, if Landry's out, I mean, they need weapons in this offense here, so that could be something that someone uses them. Blake Jarwin might be coming off his 3-week IER stunt. And if he does this week, he might see a big role. Obviously, if CeeDee Lamb is out, again, you might want to wait until Thursday if that's something that he comes off of. And then Jawan Johnson from the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, he was kind of like a guy early on in the season, came out of nowhere, scored 2 touchdowns early, kind of a hybrid tight end wide receiver player. He didn't really play much. I don't think he even played at all in this past game. But maybe they gave him another opportunity now that Adam Trotman is gone. So a guy to have in that offense that kind of can be a mismatch for defenders. So he's another guy you might want to look into as a deep, deep stash right now. And that's kind of it for this. Again, this is a really sucky waiver wire show, but we somehow talked about almost for 30 minutes. So go us.
Yeah.
We somehow did it.
Us.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys. So at the end here, we have some trade feels. About like 6 or 7 players we're going to kind of quickly mention just about kind of how we feel about wanting to buy them, sell them right now. So, Coach Gibbs, we'll start at the top here. Antonio Gibson, you buying, selling Antonio Gibson?
I'll sell him still. I'm on the sell side. I just have no faith in the offense. It's the way it operates is kind of fluky, and like I know he's gotten his snap share up a little bit higher, but I still want a running back who's kind of not just stagnant runner. I need some catches, man. And I don't think Gibson's going to be doing enough for me.
I respect that for sure. I think I'd buy into it. I'd look for owners who feel the way Coach Gibbs does and see if I can buy him for the low because I think his upside is still there. I know the passing game kind of is sucky. He's seen, if I'm not mistaken, let me see if I can find his targets over the last few weeks here now. Where are they? I mean,
None.
he's had
But he
two
had 20.
receptions, two targets over the last 2 weeks. It's even worse. But they do have some favorable matchups: Seattle, the Raiders, Philly twice. Like it's favorable enough that I'd want to buy into them and hope that the upside is there. Uh, let's see. Kyle said the waiver wire might be sucky, but the show definitely isn't. I thank you, my friend. Appreciate that, brother. But I think I'd still be buying into Gibson's upside here because I think he's a fantastic runner and he's going to be getting the goal line work where he's getting the rushing touchdowns. So I'd still buy into him. All right, next up, Odell Beckham, fresh off the bye, coming up here with the Rams. No Bob Woods, unfortunately, anymore. So sad. Buying or selling high on him?
I'll sell them if I had them. You're just giving me players I don't have. So
God, uh, it's tough, but I mean, I
like,
know
what are you
maybe
gonna do? Honestly, like most trade deadlines are like this week, and he has one performance with the Rams, and that had nothing to show for. So like, you're just selling a name, and
like
what has the
if you.
name gotten you over this last 4 years?
I'm trying. It's sometimes it's gotten you some good stuff, honestly.
And dynasty.
Dynasty, yeah. Okay, let me see if I can find something real quick here. A wide receiver comparison. Like Devontae Smith. Would you sell Odell and get Devontae Smith on your team?
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. I mean, people might buy into that. I'm trying to see. Okay, what about Odell or let's see here. Who can I mention? Odell or like Kenny Galladay?
I'm keeping Odell.
Given Odell. Okay. Okay. So he's kind of in that high end wide receiver 3 territory. And if someone's willing to give me maybe Brandon Cooks, Devontae Smith, maybe Mike Williams, even Deontay Johnson, maybe if someone can sneak that out of him, I'm looking to trade away Odell and get players like that on my team.
That's a super fleece if that is.
That would be very super fleece, but players like that, I'd be looking to send off to get rid of Odell off my team. All right, Dave Montgomery. Dave Montgomery, 2 weeks back now. It looks like he's in command of this offense once again. Buying, you selling?
I'll buy.
Yeah, I agree with
He's a
you.
good
100%.
player, and he's getting the bulk of the share.
He sure is. He's seeing a very big workload from coming back from 2 games now. I mean, he's had 13 carries in the first 2 games back, at least 58 yards in both games. Not a lot of work in the reception totals, but I mean, I feel like that's a Justin Fields thing more than anything else. If you could still buy him, it might be hard, but I'd still want to go get a guy like that on my team because his matchups down the stretch are very favorable. Like Seattle, Minnesota, the Giants, Detroit, obviously this coming week here, I'm still buying into a guy like Dave Montgomery.
The schedule makers must have loved Montgomery.
They must. They
It's
must
good
like
the last 2 years.
they must look at this guy. Great schedule. Okay, love it. Now here's a controversial one. Saquon Barkley right now, finally going to play tonight, hopefully against the Bucks. Buy or sell Saquon right now?
I'm selling.
Selling.
I'll sell Saquon. I'm
Wow,
just done with him.
I
So
respect it.
frustrating. But like we know what the talent's there. Obviously, we know this guy could be a 15 rush attempt, a 6 catch monster. Like we saw glimpses of that. Like maybe weeks 4 and 5 before he got injured, and he was putting up some good performances. But then it's all in reset mode right now. Like the Giants aren't going to rush him back and give him a big carry total. So like I have skepticism to believe that right now. And the fantasy season's getting late right now, and I need points. I don't need to be like, oh, is Barkley playing, not playing, not playing. So that's why I want to get him off my team. Maybe you give him to like some guy who's in better shape and who could kind of ride his wave, but. You never know. He still could give you some good value. So
Okay, okay. What about? Would you trade Barkley or Gibson? Who would you rather have?
Gibson.
Gibson. Aaron Jones or Barkley?
Jones, but like Jones is it's kind of
That's
like love.
the pick right now.
Yeah, I know he's out, but like you know what you get with Jones, but Jones is also frustrating too because he feels touchdown dependent at times.
Right. Let's see if I can think of another one. Dave Montgomery or Saquon Barkley right now.
Mm, hold up, let me see something.
Yeah, take your time. So for me, guys,
I'm taking Barkley.
Barkley. Okay. So the matchups are favorable, but he's a guy who's going to consistently deal with injuries all season. I'm looking to trade Saquon. I'm looking to get Dave Montgomery plus. I'm looking to get maybe Antonio Gibson plus, Aaron Jones plus. I'd want to trade for one of these backs now, and use. Oh, he's got a decent schedule. You're gonna love it, and get that off my team because yes, Saquon Barkley is a tremendous talent, but the injury concerns consistently are there. We saw it where he tried to come back once and then got hurt again. You know, the line isn't that great. The offense continues to be banged up all season here. I'd be looking to sell Saquon now. Maybe this bites me back in the butt later, but I think you could get good value for him. It might drop after tonight's game is bad, but I'd still be looking to sell off Saquon still. All right, let's see. You got three more. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jibs. Comes back, has a good performance in his first game back.
But the Chiefs are going to be running the ball like that, like in a consistent format. I'll buy into it. He looked good. We were watching the game together. I thought, like, it seemed like he wasn't even out, to be honest. I thought he would have a little bit of lag. We were talking about that on the Start and Sit show, and he looked good. So I trust him. Obviously, we always have that touchdown. Like, where's it going to come from? Because the Chiefs' offense is always like a variety pack in the red zone. So touchdown concerns, but he looked good.
Yeah. Okay. So Dave Montgomery or Clyde?
Same person. I'll take Clyde. Better offense.
Okay. I'd probably take Clyde too, but I'd still be looking to sell Clyde personally. To me, I'm selling off that big game back. I don't 100% trust that the Chiefs all of a sudden are just going to run constantly the rest of the season here now. I mean, they've matched some decent matchups, but I don't trust the offense that they're going to continue to say, well, let's just run. And he had a good game with the touchdown and had a couple of carries, a couple of receptions. I'd be selling that, trying to get a better running back that I like, like right now. I'd be trying to find a way to get someone that I'm trying to think who I could probably get on that range right now, like Henderson. I try to go get Henderson, use Clyde to get Henderson and get, something out of that. So that's kind of how I feel about Clyde. Let's see here. Two more. Darren Waller, Jibs. Good game back. Finally had a good game.
I'll buy him.
You're buying? You're buying in that performance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm buying too. I mean, the matchups are good rest of the season. This was I was waiting for to tell people, like, Darren Waller had a tough stretch of games. And I think it's going to find a way they need to get back to throwing the ball at Darren Waller more. And I think they're going to end up having success with that rest of the season. So I'd be buying in Darren Waller if I could. And then last but not least, Stephon Diggs, Jibs. He had a good game in terms of fantasy points, but he had like 24 yards on the day here. The Bills' offense is just kind of falling apart. What do you do with a guy like Stephon Diggs?
Buy low. I've been trying to buy low all year. I can't get a sniff.
Oh, God, yeah. It might be too hard to buy low, but if a game comes up soon enough, I want to see who their matchups are. I mean, the trade deadlines are soon. Everyone's trade deadline is probably this week or so. If you could buy low, I mean, they got New England twice. So New England's shut down their number one players on teams. So I probably am more of the sell side. If someone likes his performance, he's just scoring, he's continuing to see big fantasy numbers, I'd be looking to get out of Stephon Diggs because I don't know if I trust the offense enough. And if they finally get it together, say we have to run the ball, it means less targets out there for Stephon Diggs. So, yeah. I'm selling off on him, and I'm going to call it a day there. So, all right, everyone. Well, we thank you all for tuning in today. Kyle, of course, thank you for joining the show, buddy. It's always nice to hear a friendly face out there. And everyone else, of course, who listens to the show as well, we thank you so much for tuning into it because we like to do this and talk football. So, as always, you can go check out our Twitter at Coaches Fantasy. Again, we be posting things up there all week long, kind of some fantasy facts for you to kind of look at that help make your fantasy decisions a little bit easier. Just so check those out all week long. If you need help for fantasy start and sit advice on Thursday and Sunday, we're here for you. Just hit us up on Twitter at Coaches Fantasy. And if you ever want to hit up me or Coach Jibbs, you can do so at Coach Stephen P.
Hot take Concho.
So hit us up, guys. More than welcome to help you out with any of your fantasy start sits, waiver wires, trades, what have it. That's what we're here for. So until next time, guys, we'll be back on Wednesday. Have a good one.
Let's go, Lombardi.